Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the J22 Report. I am your host, Johnnie Market. You all know that drill. Hit that like button and subscribe if you already haven't. First thing I want to get into is Bitcoin. The Bitcoin bubble is blowing, and I personally think Bitcoin could go to 100K. I'm not one of those anti Bitcoin people. My big qualms with it is it's not money, and you don't invest in it because of a weak dollar. It's a technology play. Apple, Nvidia, Google, that's why you buy it. That's my only qualm with really Bitcoin. Asset's an asset on a market to market. But so I still think it will go up. But one thing from gold and silver that remains true, and this will remain true with everything, not just Bitcoin, but stocks, equities. There's an old saying: if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And today, Coinbase, I'm going to read from this article, NASDAQ exchange. I'll just post it below, so I'm not even reading the whole thing. Coinbase, one of the leading Bitcoin and cryptocurrency exchanges, experienced significant outage today as Bitcoin prices soared, leaving users' accounts malfunctioning. Disruption occurred and increase in activity surged in price. And I'll just tell you this. This is the thing about, this is why Bitcoin's not gold. Now, granted, you might not be able to sell gold, but that's only because if someone can't get it. It's physical. You have to find someone. But Bitcoin, if the market starts going down and exchanges go out, you might not be able to sell it. And if it goes up and you want to take profits, you might not be able to. In fact, it might not exchange until price goes back down. So, yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. This is why I always say Bitcoin's a speculative asset and should only be with minimal amounts of money because, yeah, there is a real possibility. It's not just today, and it's not just Sam Bankman-Fried. There's Mt. Gox, and there's a couple others, but I don't know them off the top of my head. And Google, they algorithmically make it hard now. So, but yeah, exchanges have gone out. Mt. Gox, Sam Bankman-Fried. Of course, he's not going to jail for it. But that's America. And yeah, Coinbase had problems. If you wanted to sell this morning, you couldn't. In fact, the balances were at zero. So anyway, just remember about Bitcoin. You don't hold it, you don't own it. That's the thing. Second thing I wanted to get into today, I just wanted to piggyback on this, in that the Magnificent Seven has now become the big three. So basically, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, also known as Nvidia, Meta, and Amazon. And I just wanted to get this article. I'll post it below. Big Tech's strong performance versus the S&P is often attributed to the success of Magnificent Seven. But it's really about three names that come to mind: Nvidia, Meta, and Amazon. Having significantly outperformed the S&P, Nvidia has led the trio, surging nearly 60%. The three names have also topped the performance of their peers. Microsoft's gained about 8% this year. Meanwhile, Alphabet, Apple, Tesla have lost value about the 2 months of trade in 2024. Yeah, the article has more stuff. I'll post it below. It's a Yahoo Finance mainstream article, so the title is Three Companies Driving the Magnificent Seven, so if you really want to look at it. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The Magnificent Seven is now the big three, and pretty soon it will be the one. Meanwhile, the rest of the market, I was listening to interviews. Christopher Mullen was one of them, and he showed the market without the Magnificent Seven. It's just flat, going down. So this is a sign of a top when very few. Now, we don't know how long. Like, this is a big bull market, so it's going to have a big top. I think we're still in the euphoria stage. I think it will probably top out around 5,400 S&P or 6,000. And, then I think all the problems are just going to start going. So, but anyway, and let's get into economic data, because in terms of gold being in a bull market, this has to start declining. And if you look at it, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's not recession. So what stood out to me, GDP growth 3.2%. The consensus had it at 3.3. So it was below expectations, which shows the economy is cooling. The trade deficit exploded, went up to 90.2 billion, up from 87 billion. So wholesale inventories on a month-over-month basis, that declined 1%. And the other one, core PCE prices, that was up 2.1%, higher than the expected 2%. And with oil prices only at 75, I think inflation is going to rise more over this year because oil, I was looking at stocks, distillate stocks change, that was in decline. Gasoline production, that was up, but it was from a decline. Heating oil stocks declined. Crude imports, that are gasoline stocks, declined. So with higher oil prices, that will be in a higher CPI, even though they'll say it excludes food and fuel, but oil's made in almost everything you're in. So if you have higher oil, you're going to have higher inflation. So that's the one thing. As you can see, the economic data with GDP, that's a miss. Wholesale inventories declining. None of that. They promised lower mortgage rates, but mortgage rates are above 7% again. So, and mortgage applications, that's down 5.6%. So you can see the economy still is in declining, and the PCE and inflation's rising. So yeah, things aren't looking that great. In terms of gold, it's still basing above 2,000. It was a nothing burger. The miners are still doing a little worse, but the longer it goes above 2,000, the higher it's going to break out. And that's what I think it's doing. Just like when it was basing around 11 to 1,300, it was getting ready to make a move. And if you look at it, gold tested in 2011, it went up to 1921. The first tipping point near 2000 did not work. And then in 2020, it got back to 2000 and it went back down to 1600. In 2022, briefly went back up near 2000 or above, was smacked down immediately because the Fed rate hiking cycle began. And so now, it's finally in 2024, it's finally broken above 2000 the 2000 level mark was a strong resistance dating back, I would say, for 13 years. It was incredibly strong resistance, and now it's turning into support. So I think that's going to eventually be a launch pad. And I think sometime this year, later this year or next year, it's gonna break out, go to 24, 25, 20, and I think the miners will really explode. That's just my opinion, but the thing is, just not yet. Look at the economic data. Even though it's not anything to write home about, and it is declining from the euphoria, it's still not there yet. It's still not there. So tomorrow we have core PCE, Chicago PMI, pending home sales, and Friday there's lots of data, so we'll get into that and see what that brings. But anyway, that's all I have for today. If you like this video, remember, hit that like button, subscribe if you already haven't. I'll see you next video.